Check, check, 1, 2. Check, check, 1, 2.
Alrighty. This is really bad lighting.
Who could have guessed that?
Let's get out of the shadows. How about that?
The sun's going down. It's about to be.
I am aware, but we're under a gigantic tree right now. So, whenever you're ready. Okay. So, fams. Ooh, there. You're right. I can see the chat.
I'm right about everything.
No, you're right about nothing, Johnny. You're right about a few things every now and then. Just a few, not too many. Alright. So, fams, I'm obviously in the car. Obviously. There we go. See? More light out there. Okay. So, this is gonna be fun. So much shit happened when we decided to take a break this weekend. And we're like near Lake Tahoe right now.
I'm sure your phone with the GPS.
And you need the GPS?
Yeah, just give me your phone.
Okay. Just careful, because it might disconnect.
No, it's not gonna.
Anyway, so I wanted to kind of touch base as to what's been happening, because so much decided to happen while we were gone. And one of the things that happened was the Facebook whistleblower, right, a few days ago. And this whistleblower, she has come out and said that Facebook basically promotes hateful content, disinformation, and Instagram and Facebook both cause depression and cause people to want to like kill themselves and stuff. So, in the context of what we know about Facebook and what we know about whistleblowers and what we know about the United States national security state, right? We know that if the U.S. national security state truly had a whistleblower that would probably release information that would hurt them, that whistleblower would be persecuted, prosecuted, and jailed. And we know that because of what happened with Chelsea Manning, of what's happened with Julian Assange, and WikiLeaks, right? So it's really weird to me that right after that whistleblower started coming out and saying this, you had then subsequently this whole internet collapse with WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook, where they weren't working, and they still aren't fully working. I mean, Instagram is working for me, but Facebook, I can't really post anything on there, and I don't know if it's just me or if it's everybody else. And it's interesting to me that the release of the Pandora Papers preceded this as well. So we have the whistleblower on Facebook, we have the release of the Pandora Papers, which are the papers where about 600 or more journalists got together and had all this information that they were waiting to release regarding a lot of transactions that were made by the 1% regarding, you know, offshore tax evasions, regarding money that certain political figures received, political figures in Jordan, Colombia, Ecuador, Dominican Republic, several of what we already knew that happens in South Dakota, where people open up businesses and try to avoid tax evasion. We've seen that with Delaware. So a lot of this information that has been released thus far in the Pandora Papers, which is being promoted as the largest leak since the Panama Papers and up to date, is stuff we already knew, stuff we already been talking about. But if you go to The Guardian and you go through some of the articles that they've released, you can't find the actual like leaks themselves. You only find the write-ups on the leaks, the analysis on the leaks. You don't find the leaks. You also notice that they're centering the story around Vladimir Putin and Russia and the Russian oligarchs and the Ukrainian oligarchs, and specifically about Putin's ex-lover. They have been talking about that all fucking day. Her name is Svetlana. That's my Russian name as well. no relation though. I don't know. I'm not gonna release. I'm not gonna confirm or deny if I am Putin's lover.
Don't kiss and tell.
Exactly. And so that's the thing. And so I just kind of I have, based on what I've read so far on those, what I could find on those papers, which, like I said, when WikiLeaks released data, it was straight up data that anybody could read. It wasn't people's write-ups on the data. It was like the data itself, right? Media. This is all they've been talking about. All they're covering. Russia is once again taking advantage, and these oligarchs and etc. So when the internet crashed today, right after that release.
No, just Facebook, Instagram.
Well, but it's a huge portion of the internet. It's not just, it's giant internet conglomerates. You're talking about Facebook, which is Instagram as well, right? And then you're talking about WhatsApp, which people use in foreign countries to communicate here, which is interesting because all of the Pandora paper coverage that I've read has been on foreigners. It hasn't been on any Americans. So that's where the focus is on. And I think it's weird that all of this is happening. In fact, I'm understating. I think this is not coincidental. I don't believe in coincidences, especially when you live in an oligarchy like ours. Simultaneously, we're seeing an increase in surveillance. We're seeing, I don't know if you guys saw the video, and we're going to cover all of this in detail, but I'm just ranting right now. We have, I don't know if you guys have seen the video of the riot, like, it's like a giant garbage truck for police where they push people out. It's like a riot machine. Wow. Like a contraption. It's like a gigantic claw where they have this shield that's going to push people out that the police are working on using. We've seen the robots. We've also seen a lot of protests that aren't being covered in New York of BLM protesters marching alongside Trump supporters against these mandates. The teachers are currently striking right now, and they're unvaccinated teachers that are striking against the mandates as well in New York and elsewhere, but particularly New York is where this is like really, really happening. And so all of this is happening at one time.
The film thing.
The what?
The unions. The film unions.
Right. So the are you talking about the production?
Yeah.
So the mainly the workers from behind the scenes in production are protesting, right? They want better wages, they want better hours, better salary, and that is I forget what the union is called. It's a union, right? It's a union related to production entertainment. So that's happening right now in Los Angeles. They're protesting, but they're
advocating for a general strike.
And they're according to Jonny, they're advocating for a what?
General strike.
General strike. Okay. So what I'm saying is all of this happening is not happening, separately. Meanwhile, by the way, there's fires up here in the Sequoia National Forest, and it's making everything really smoky everywhere, which is
hard to breathe.
It's hard to breathe. So okay, Joe Biden's wonderful plan that we went over last week, where you're supposed to see a decrease in the cost of childcare via child tax credit, free community college, expansion of Medicare, lowering the age to 60, things that are extremely incremental, things that Hillary Clinton was even talking about years ago. I mean, this is how bad we've gotten. And AOC recently did an interview admitting that it is likely college tuition for community that I think is moderate, but as really gone. Medicare to now what? And they made Chris Cinema and bandwagon around them like Chris. Democrats have both houses, and Democrats have been blaming Republicans during the Trump administration. Now that they hold the leadership in most of government right now they're blaming the elite the leadership in Joe Manchin, and also of course people like Kristen Sinema
and the
parliamentarian that comes out of fucking nowhere. So they always find somebody to blame, right? And that's what they're doing. They're putting this on Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema when we know damn well if they wanted to, if Joe Biden wanted to, he could by executive order give people health care, push student debt forgiveness. He could by executive order do that. He is not doing that. So when they say, oh, these Democrats, it's because of these bad Democrats, we just need more squad members, you know that's bullshit, because we just covered that the squad just literally voted for Cambodia. And in an obvious NGO type of where they're trying to say that Cambodia is committing crimes against humanity, and they fucking ridiculous. I mean, look at our elections here, and they're not going to give people the breadcrumbs that they promised. Now, within those breadcrumbs that they dangled, those like the mileage tax to $700,000 fines if businesses do not comply with the mandates. All of that is also in the Build Back Better Act, and that is, like we said, the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more information. So it's feeling like a dark winter. It's pretty easy to predict that they'll likely be blaming Russia and China for this intelligence breach, hacking. They've already said it's hacking of sorts that has caused these websites to go down. Coinbase was having issues as well, Johnny. Coinbase was having issues.
They always have issues.
Yeah, well,
Bitcoin was surging though. Bitcoin was surging. They were going up. Price is going up. It's almost at 50 from like 42.
So there's that aspect. A lot of things were happening today. But I think this is all part of what I've been saying, and what a lot of us have been saying, is the Great Reset. Now, the Great Reset isn't a conspiracy. The World Economic Forum has been held for years now. They've been leading up to it. In the most recent forum they talked about stakeholder capitalism.
They literally call it the Great Reset.
They call it the Great Reset. There's
like
videos.
A video, yeah. From the World Economic Forum.
Yeah, this is facts. It's not a conspiracy. What it means to us is the difference of interpretation here. So what they're playing it as is, it's time for a Great Reset. It's time for us to start over, look at things differently. They're pushing stakeholder capitalism versus regular capitalism. They're pushing nonprofits and NGOs as a way to have more equality, reduce carbon emissions. They're talking about climate action. But really, within this sort of climate action plan, what you see is the privatization of our natural resources, which are pretty much all the things we care about, like these natural parks that we have, mountains, oceans, all of that. And the fourth industrial revolution is happening alongside, because that's the natural progression, is the fact that now it's not going to be about oil as much as it's going to be about minerals, copper, lithium, these minerals that are primarily in the global south, Africa, Latin America, and the privatization of these minerals and all of that. The whole point is you'll own nothing and you'll love it, right? And what we're seeing is that push to do that via the surveillance state, via separating us from communicating with each other, censoring people, having your medical information and your banking information, your whole wallet to their access, because that's the next step. You talk about China's social credit score. This is going to be that 10,000 times on steroids. And this is nothing new. We've also covered the WHO's intent on passports via a blockchain-based technology. All of this is what we're on the road towards. And I think a lot of people, who have been talking about this will be vindicated, because it's like, and it's sad because you don't want to be vindicated. You don't want shit to hit the fan. You don't want this to be, at the level that it's at. So
we may lose signal.
Okay, yeah, we may lose signal. So if we lose signal,
we're going through mountains.
It's because we'll be coming around the mountain. Yeah. But anyway, Johnny, so I just wanted to let you guys know our preliminary thoughts on this. We're obviously going to cover it more in depth on the show, but I have the Panama Papers.
Bottom, next to it, like the end.
There we go. And the windshield's
Watch here.
This one is.
Farms Road.
I know. You got 97 miles till the road ends. There's a couple of things I wanted to mention real quick.
For the fans.
See.
What are these trucks? They're like these deep state white trucks.
Mint Press News had this tweet up where the Pandora Papers, in case you're probably not from released, which includes, right? And
do we know if they released the data? They haven't released any of the data.
I have not been able to find the data.
Fans, if you find the data, email us.
Like the direct text, like direct leaks. I don't want their fucking interpretation of the fucking leaks. I want the actual leaks. The Hollywood Foreign Press is part of this. The NORAD.
I guess I'm going.
Yeah, you're just going straight. Yeah. Let's see. Arnold's Ventures. So these are all like George Soros and Pierre Omidyar, however you say his fucking last name. And if you look South Central America, South America, but mainly Russia and China. What a coincidence that the people that are most found guilty in these papers all stem from what we consider our dire enemies, right?
Which outlet is saying that?
No, it's not which outlet. It's literally where it's from. It's the data.
Okay.
If there's a map.
The map shown where?
Yeah, that's where most of them are.
So where? Where's that map shown? On what site?
Mint Press is reporting on this.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it's just funny because this is nothing new, guys. Like pretty much all of us in independent media that have been following, any sort of progressive politics in the last few years have talked about the media empire from people like Pierre Omidyar and people like George Soros, and talked about how these fucking wealthy elites put their money outside in offshore tax haven, and they don't pay taxes. That's been known. This is nothing new. So it's really strange that all of a sudden they're like, oh, we found all this information, and they compared it. Oh, it's the biggest leak of dumps in forever. And they do not mention fucking WikiLeaks. They don't mention Julian Assange. They don't mention any of this shit. Meanwhile, it's been 15 years since the creation of WikiLeaks. To this day, today is the 15-year anniversary of fucking WikiLeaks. And fucking Julian Assange is still in Belmarsh prison awaiting the decision of the second appeals trial for extradition, which I think takes place on October 27th, if I'm not mistaken. So that is crazy to me that these people are talking about journalistic investigations needing to be exposed to the public, and they act like WikiLeaks doesn't exist, that WikiLeaks didn't happen, that the revelations, right, about what Pompeo and the Trump administration tried to do to Julian Assange is all of a sudden new and nobody knew about it. What it seems like to me is that they're manipulating information that they can no longer keep away, but they're releasing it in a way where they can frame it so it's not on them.
Yeah,
so it's
control the narrative.
Exactly. It's everything you see is narrative management. It's narrative propaganda control. And that's what they're doing right now with this information. Obviously, I would love to hear still, from what some of my comrades think, but based on what I've been seeing and the people we've been talking about, this is what they're trying to do. Somebody just said Freedom Fox 1. They're trying to compete with WikiLeaks by releasing a bunch of stuff that doesn't threaten the oligarchs or the deep state. Exactly. exactly what they're doing. And you know what? They're bad at it because it's obvious that this is not, you know, that this is not about WikiLeaks, that this is about that anything remotely close to WikiLeaks. Because if it were, you'd see these people fucking jailed right now. You'd see these people freaking out. Now, I don't know about how Facebook being down and Instagram and WhatsApp being down relates to that, but it is extremely suspect, and I think there is some sort of connection there. I don't know what. It's you know, I'm going to continue investigating, so are the fans, but I 100% agree with you. It looks like this is what's happening, and I agree, Freedom Fox, that's a really great take, but yeah, it doesn't make any sense. If this was such a threat to the establishment, the entire mainstream media would not be hyper focused on this, and the way they're putting in Putin and Putin's life and Putin's dealings and they're framing the whole narrative around Putin and his ex-girlfriend Svetlana is really fucking
like
crazy.
Supposed unverified ex-girlfriend Svetlana.
Yeah, and
they literally said on the radio.
It's what they said, and I want to read directly too from the Guardian article here, where they ask, because the Guardian article. And the Kremlin spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, said Monday that raised questions whether the information can be trusted. He said, if there are any serious publications that are based on something that cites something specific, we will look into them with interest. At this point, we don't see a reason to. I agree with that. I have not seen anything from what they've published, and I've read all their fucking articles on it. That's specifies anything Putin did that is, you know, of primary concern to me, to Americans as citizens. Anything, even in all of the stuff that they've uncovered the money connections between these, you know, governments and the offshore havens that they've had. Sure, okay, great. But in attempting to involve the Kremlin's dealings with all of that, I haven't seen anything specific. They literally are so vague, just like they usually are with their accusations. So it's really strange that this is happening. And again, I just see it as a continuation of the neo-McCarthyite trend in America right now, but also the recognition that the United States is weak at this moment in comparison to China. China definitely has, you know, a strong middle class. They have lifted their people out of poverty, and the United States is really there, that they're not real. It's just the fact that why they're not focusing on what really the national security state and the surveillance state are doing here, which is increasingly reducing our civil liberties, reducing our rights, trying to put us against each other. People are really, it's almost like they feel the unrest coming, right? They understand that people aren't happy, and they're like, okay, well, we need to prepare for this, which is why you've seen the decrease in rights for protesters, the increase in censorship, the labeling of people as domestic violent extremists. There was also this weird thing, I don't know if you saw, Johnny, where there was a lot of cargo ships outside of the, you have a long time, outside of the, they weren't moving anywhere. All these cargo ships were staying stationary. I don't know if you guys saw that, and they weren't being allowed in. So it's really interesting, all of this that's happening, and we're trying to make sense out of it. Yeah. So, by the way, just wanted to let you guys know, Pasta is going to be streaming, putting some videos on Rokfin regarding the jab. So keep looking at that. And guys, I'm gonna go ahead and they're saying that the stream is like having issues, so I'm gonna go ahead and say bye to you guys. Anything else you want to say?
Nope.
All right, guys, we will see you soon. Convo out. Peace.